Howdy, lieutenants and economists.
The most volatile, evil, disgusting things on the planet, humans. If you have a video request, you can always go to assholeconsulting.com.
Yeah, I am gonna charge you, kids. And that is the importance of not fucking up.
You are such an asshole!
Assholeconsulting.com. The old captain's feeling a lot better. I had pancakes. I don't know why, but that made me feel a lot better. So if you're ever sick, have pancakes. Hey, asshole, I'm a 21-year-old male from Florida. I'm currently in college and have a great GPA and a STEM major with very little college debt. I plan on joining the military as an officer or applying to med school. I don't know, though, because I like the Dave Ramsey approach of having no debt and medical school will be expensive. Why don't you have the military pay for your med school? I think you have to talk to a recruiter on this, but last I remember, the military had a program where if they pay for your med school while you're in the military, you owe them like 4 or 5 years or whatever being a doctor. So I think you go in as a captain. I mean, you're not commanding, lieutenants. You're just a medical officer. So I don't see why it's an or. You say, I was thinking of joining the military as an officer or applying for medical school. Although this behooves the question, why are you majoring in STEM if you wanted to go into med school? I mean, what's wrong? What's your STEM major? Wouldn't you want to go and do that? Nothing wrong with being a chemical engineering major and then going on to become a doctor. I just wonder why you must have chosen the STEM for some reason. You must have liked it. But yeah, you go in the military as an officer, and there's a program there. Walk around, ask around between Navy, Air Force, and Marines and the Army. I think there's a program there where they will pay for your medical school. They'll train you to be a doctor, but you owe them several years of your life. So just an option. I don't know, though, because I like the Dave Ramsey approach of having no debt. Medical school will be expensive, not if the military pays for it. Plus, you have the GI Bill. I won't pay for everything, but even if you don't become a doctor in the military, when you get out, it'll be heavily subsidized. I don't want kids, and I'm pretty set on my plans. Shitty thing is, I have no friends right now. Literally none. I'm living at home with my crazy family of financial dumbasses. I want to get out so goddamn bad. You can get a job. You don't even have to wait to finish school to go into the military. You could join the military now, and they will give you free food, clothing, shelter, and tuition, and medical care. And you don't have to deal with your crazy family. You just have to deal with a very, very angry drill instructor. And sometimes that's a lot easier. But Lord knows what happens to the basic training nowadays. Than dealing with your crowd. I don't have any sympathy for people who live at home and then complain about their family. You live at home. It's not that hard to not live at home. You may have to go to school part-time. You may not be able to afford school full-time. And the reason why is I 18, had a job, paid for everything, and we've been still going strong ever since. That's the way Dad did it. That's the way America does it. And it's worked out pretty well so far. So if you don't like living at home, move. Oh, but that'd be hard. I'd have to get a job. It's very hard, but then you become a galvanized individual like moi. And you answer to no one. I don't know why people don't get this. It's hell. I just don't have the money with my shitty-ass job while I'm in school for 2 more years. I don't pay rent, but every other bill is on my back, including medical bills and so forth. So saving money or having any hobbies beyond knitting and board games is fucked. Fortunately, my car is paid off, but I still don't have the money to move out without taking on a lot of student debt. It's hard to have a girlfriend and friends when you live at home with your crazy family and they're in your privacy constantly. In addition to that, I'm always either working for peanuts or going to school. You're going to be working for peanuts no matter what, until you maybe get an internship that pays pretty well. That sometimes happens to STEM majors. But are you doing what I recommend and working as a security guard? Or some other third shift person? Or some other job that allows you to study while you're working? And that's key. You have to be allowed to study while you're working. Sometimes they have student work jobs or work-study jobs. Go find one, and then you're going to be making the money, and you'll have really good grades because you're studying the entire time, and you go to school. And then you don't have to deal with, find a buddy with a room. I don't see how hard it is to rent a room. It cannot be that expensive. So it's very difficult to find time to do things with people even if I did have the money. I refuse to go off to a big university, get in debt, and be a fake frat boy piece of shit just to have friends. Good man. Good man. I usually don't mind being alone, but it's to the point where it's just damn depressing. Yes! Yes, it is. Yes. College, if you do it right, will be challenging and depressing. Because if you do it right, you will be working and going to school, and you will be keeping your debts down, and you will be studying, and there's not a lot of time for fun if you do it right. If you want to do it typical, dipshit, average, swipple white, suburbanite, party-goer, dude-bro, frat boy that you hate right there, or Tina, the sociology major, I'm going to party, all right? You will graduate with a shit ton of debt, and your life will suck. But now you are putting in your dues now, so you don't have to put them in later. Right? It is sacrifice now to succeed and pretty much never, well, you're going to fail and you will hurt in the future, but nowhere near the amount of hurt and failure that these people are lining themselves up for. Embrace the suck. Embrace the suck. Embrace the cock. It's from a movie. Usually I don't even have drinking friends. You can't afford drinking. I know this because I was there. You would think you were talking to some guy who has not been there before. I have been there and walked the line. I didn't have money for booze. I refuse to be surrounded by idiots and fakes. Well, get used to that. But unfortunately, that's the majority of the population. Yes, so you refuse reality. You have got to learn to accept life for what it is. And that is, it sucks dick. And not a good clean dick. We're talking a herpes, gonorrhea, gonosyphilades, Terrence Popp type of descriptive dick. Okay, not Terrence Popp has this dick you can look. He knows what I'm talking about. Don't beat me up, Terrence. That's the type of dick that life is. That you get to suck. All right? And you can, you have to suck it. Life sucks, and it is a disease-ridden dick that you get to suck. Now, you could start accepting that, or you could keep fighting it and still have to suck it. One has less pain than the other, and that is just admitting life sucks and getting used to it and abiding by that reality. I feel like I'm smart, but I'm just a fucking loser. If I have to put up with my mom and siblings' bullshit, sibling favoritism, and nagging for much longer, I will be a goddamn ward. P.S. I don't think I'm ugly. I'm just an average guy in fit shape. I have good hygiene, too, so I don't think it's a factor in my lack of friends. What should I do, asshole? All right, so I ask you, all right, let me get this right. You're in the middle of the thick of college, banging out your STEM degree, and you don't have a social life, correct? He says, correct. I not only have little time for friends, but I'm really having trouble making them with my current situation because I don't know how. I don't have any social life, and it needs to change. Anyways, okay, dude. I told you to test your IQ, but you didn't because you're not going to listen. So test your IQ. See if you're really smart. And if you find out you got an IQ of 130 or something like that, that's one explanation as to why you don't have that many friends. And it's not your fault. It's that the majority of people you just can't understand, you can't associate with. I asked you that because you're already ripping on the dude bro frat boys. You don't see the point and reason in drinking it. You don't go, party, yay, Tina, with Sigma Phi. I go to Tempe. All right, so I'm going to bet, but you'll have to prove that later on taking an IQ test, that's one problem. But a much bigger problem is that you simply don't have the time for a social life. I didn't have the time for a social life while I was going to school and working full-time and going to school full-time. There just wasn't the time for it. I think I made it to maybe 4 parties, maybe, my entire time. I ate at McDonald's twice. That's how poor it was. I mean, it was bad. It was bad. And I was patrolling by myself. My friends were at work, and that was kind of my only social life was my friends at work. School was boring, it was bullshit, but by God, I was allowed to go ahead and study on the job. But there was no time for socializing. Now, inevitably through work and the places I was stationed, I met friends, you know. I think I made friends with the entire continent of India at the Electrical Engineering Computer Science building. Got a lot of dates with Asian girls, too. That was a way to... It was all girls from Wisconsin and Asians. I understood the Asians. I didn't understand where the girls from Wisconsin were coming from. But yeah, dude, you just don't have the time. And here's what I want you to focus on. You've already put in 2 years, okay? You're doing spectacularly well. You have a good GPA. You have very little debt. You just need to do it for another 2 years. And you're not going to have a social life. That's why you sacrifice now, so that when you graduate, you don't have debt, you have a good degree, you have a good GPA, and you never have to live with your parents or your siblings again. Now, what I would recommend, in addition to, if you want to become a medical doctor, do so in the military, but what I would recommend is that, well, you got a couple options. But I stop living at home. This obviously is ruining it, and you talk with it with such venom and hate that that's not a good place for you to be, and they're in your private life. Fuck them, fuck that. But they have every right to be, because you don't pay rent. So they own you. And I know this may shock you, but some family members don't give a shit about you. They just care about controlling you. And it seems like you're in that particular situation. Regardless, it's not an acceptable situation you're in. So what I would recommend you do is you drop down to part-time school, if you can't hack it, all right, and do a little bit more work, all right? If you can't afford to drop down to part-time school, like you got to finish it, all right, then the only thing you're going to be able to do is what I did, and that is work some kind of job where you can study at the same time. I keep recommending security guards because that is the lifesaver of many young men and women out there today. You can work in a library. Problem with libraries is that you got to be there when people are around. Maybe work an overnight dorm shift. There are some jobs out there where you work from midnight to 8, or better 10 to 6, 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. because there's no people around. All right? And then it's quiet, you're undisturbed, you're going to have a little lack of vitamin D, you're going to get a little in the head, but in the end, you're making enough money, you're putting food on the table, you're renting your one room from your buddy. How much of a place do you need? You should have a laptop, some underwear, and some deodorant and toothpaste and a toothbrush and maybe some dental floss. That's all I'm thinking that you need. You should be able to rent a room. Find a buddy. Hey, can I rent your couch? Here's a couple $100 a month, even if it's $300 a month. And then you get out of your own. The other option is you join the reserves or you join the National Guard. Kind of a part-time thing, or you look into joining ROTC. That's another thing. Go look at this. Go join ROTC, Reserve Officer Training Corps. They'll pay for the rest of your college, and you just gotta be their bitch for 4 years, 7 years, something like that. Go talk to a recruiter, and then inquire at the same time about becoming a medical doctor while you're in the military. And then you're gonna. It's just. And here's another thing. You could go into debt too, you know. It's all right if you go into a little bit of debt, right? Especially for a STEM degree. You're not majoring in vagina self-absorption studies. You're not studying, oh, hey, I got this kind of color skin studies. You're not majoring in, minimalist third world French poetry architecture studies. You're majoring in a real thing. And it's okay to take on a little bit of debt so you can have sanity and a quiet place to study and make sure you get your good grades. Right? But you have a lot of options here. You got a lot of options. You could slow down going to school and work a little bit more. Maybe you graduate in 3 years instead of 2. Nothing wrong with that. You join the military. All right, that's going to delay your graduation a little bit. But I think if you join ROTC now, you put in your 2 more years, you go into the military anyway. I think that'd probably be your best option. Then there's just knuckling down and getting a job that allows you to study. Your job doesn't pay peanuts. Go find one that pays more. And I know that's easier said than done, but it doesn't sound like you tried to find something that's more conducive to your studies. Otherwise, you just take on some debt. Nothing wrong with just a little bit of debt. Not a lot. Doesn't sound like you're going to a big expensive school. That's great. But it's just the way you seethe with hatred about your family. That's not good for you. But the overall thing with your desire to have friends, that's not going to happen. That is not going to happen unless you scale back in some other part of your life or you join the military now. You will meet colleagues that way. And it's, yeah, are you probably falling a little bit behind in socializing? 20-somethings are retarded. Teenagers are retarded. I don't think you're missing out on much of anything. But there'll be a time for that later on. And that'll come after you graduate and you land a job. Or maybe you're a full-time officer. But school, I know college was sold to you, and it's still sold to young, idiotic kids. Like, ooh, it's the college experience and party, and oh, hey, did you see Animal House? It's just like that. If you haven't noticed women aren't throwing themselves at you, you then have not noticed that college is not the way it was advertised. We were idiots. We walked in, oh, girls are just going to throw themselves at us because, that's how it was in the movies, and this is where everyone matures. And it's like, nope, it was just high school version 2.0. So I don't know why you would want to make friends in high school. I don't know why you'd want to make friends in college. You went to college to get a degree, not to make friends. All right? And the people who have better, successful lives in the long run realize that. That's what, and then and look, you'd have no friends, you don't have any friends. Not like there's a cool guy or a cool gal in your engineering class. Maybe you just don't have time to hit, that's fine. All right, but don't worry about that until you actually have the time to have a social life. All right. In the meantime, your goal is to graduate with good grades, with a degree in STEM, maybe potentially saying hello to the ROTC recruiting officer. But your mission here is not to have friends. It's not to make buddies. And on top of it, if you try to go and make friends, you're not going to find them. They will happen naturally. So don't worry. Keep doing what you're doing. You got 2 years under your belt. Do another 2, and then this hell is over. It's completely over. And then a whole new set of hell happens. It's called the real world. Actually, it's not as hard. I will admit that. No matter how bad the real world got, it was nowhere near as bad as college. At least for me, because working full-time and going to school full-time, nobody could scare me after that. I was like, fuck you. I've done worse. I hate this for a living. All right, that's all we got. If you guys have questions for your older brother, for old Uncle Cappy, go to assholeconsulting.com. If you know someone that needs the swift kick in the ass from an older brother they never had because their mom divorced their father or just left her, or they fucked the father and never told their dad, like, hey, where's dad? Ah, fuck, you don't need him because vagina. Come talk to your older brother Cappy at assholeconsulting.com. We'll see you kids later. Toodles.